how to play defensive. So, how to defend, I normally, well, first step one is always make it seem like you have a negate. Don't make it seem like you don't have a negate. Don't let your opponent know that you have no negates. Always make it seem like you have negates. Ironically, there's so many cards in this game, like battle cards that can negate. Like as you can see, SS Blue Son Goku here, the term striker. He has a counter attack, so he's a negate. He's a negate battle card. You see Wrathful Charge is a negate. Obviously, Shotgun Death Ball. So there's certain cards that you can put into your deck that can negate, and there's a good amount of especially in blue, they have a lot of counter attacks, a lot of battle cards that can negate. Roshi, Mr. Boo, what's his name? Is this, no, not Striving. It's Uneasy Alliance Son Goku. I like that one. It's a 2-drop. As you can see, Determined Striker SSB Son Goku, also a counter attack. So there's battle cards that you can negate attacks with, and then there's actual negates, extra cards that can negate attacks. So you can put a whole bunch of these into a single deck, and everything you play can negate. Of course, if you're using battle cards, they can not only negate, they can also attack the following turn, right? Negate on your opponent's turn, then on your turn you can swing with them, so they have more value that way. So that's what I do. I like the negate battle cards that negate attacks, battle cards that counterplay. I prefer them than extra cards, because you can always combo a battle card if you ever need to combo to survive an attack. In case you don't have the energy to play the battle card, you can at least still combo. Unlike extra cards, since they're not actual battle cards, they don't have combo power. If you don't have the energy to play them, you can't. Fortunately, they made cards like Shocking Death Ball and Dimension Magic, Time Magic, and After Image Technique. They have Sparking 5, so if you have at least 5 cards in your drop area, you can play them for free by taking a life. So that's good. And Time and Dimension Magic lets you untap 2 energy, so that's very useful to play it for free. Untap 2 energy, and now you have the 2 energy you need to play any other negates and any other cards you might need to play, like some 10k combos that require 1 energy to play. So things like that. So always make it seem like you have a negate. It's always good to have as many negates as you could possibly put in fit into a deck, while still being able to go aggro, still being able to attack and deal your opponent damage. Trying to have as many 10k combos as possible. That's another thing in a deck that because 10k is really nice, especially if your opponent is, let's say your opponent uses 4 cards to create 20k worth of power, but you only use 2 cards to create 20k worth of power. When you guys are comboing, he's using up more of his hand than you are, so you want to obviously use 10ks more. Super combos is one of those types of 10k options you can play with. But for me, negates, I'd rather negate an attack than to try to out combo it. That's just how I play. I like to only use combo power for when I'm attacking, not for when I'm defending. And sometimes I want to take a hit. Like, I don't need to stop, unless that's why I rather negate than to combo. It's like if I have to combo, I'd rather take the hit, or I take the hit and add the cards from my life to my hand. Unless my opponent's trying to hit me with critical, then I would consider comboing. But typically, I'll take the hits. But always try to negate double strikes, especially when you're in kill range or when you're low on life. When you have 4 or less life, always try to stop any double strike, triple strike. Obviously, any type of strike that would end you out, you obviously want to stop. But single damage you don't want to worry about. The thing, there is a surprise attack aspect. There is the Champa and the E Supreme Kai combo, right, where it gives double strike. So when you see your opponent has a double strike battle card or a leader that has double strike and is attacking with it, obviously you'll want to negate it. You want to block it. But if they're attacking you with something that would typically deal you 1 damage, but they have cards in their hands. There's a possibility there's a Champa in there. There's a possibility that there's a Supreme Kai there, that they might hit you with it. You know, they might combo, and it's like, ah, damn. If I negated it, I wouldn't have to worry about that. But at the same time, you also have to think, well, yeah, if you negated it, they won't play the Champa now or the Supreme Kai, but they would play it later or on the next attack. So either way, you probably would take it anyway. So in some scenarios, it'd be unfortunate where you're like, all right, I won't negate, and then they Champa, and it's like, okay, now I gotta out combo this because it's too late for me to negate. We're already in the combo phase, right? So now I have to out combo this. So then you have to do what you can to out combo it, survive it, and then if they try to attack you with something else with double strike, or you know, or the next attack, you can obviously just negate it, so that way you can make sure you take no hits at all. It's like, oh, you tried, you almost had me with the Champa, you know, almost had me with that surprise double strike, but you know what, I'm gonna not let you take no life from my life. So defend, and you know, wait until it's your turn. Wait until your opponent is done trying to do whatever they can, and then it's your turn. Blockers, of course, very useful. Some of the cool things about these battle cards that you can negate attacks and then you play them is the fact that they have combo power, so you can use them from the field as well. So you can, if you could afford it, if they're 10k like the Determined Striker, he has a 10k combo power plus, but you have to pay 1 for it. If you have the energy for that, then so be it. But if you don't, you won't be able to use it, right? But there are some that have 5k 0 cost, so you can negate an attack and then, you know, try to out combo another attack after that with the battle card you used to negate an attack in the first place. So again, negate a double strike or anything that major with the negate part of the battle card, and then combo to try to, you know, stop a single surprise attack or something. So try to get the most out of it with the right leader, the right battle negate battle cards. You can obviously negate multiple attacks, like with Boma. Boma lets you your red Saiyans and your yellow Saiyans and your red Earthlings and your yellow Earthlings gain blockers. So battle cards that negate attacks, and then when they hit the field they become blockers, is great because that's an extra attack you can potentially block. So get more value out of that. There are some free blockers I always recommend to put in every deck. Is Bodyguard Legic. It's always good to have a free blocker, or at least a blocker that at least replaces itself. So Supreme Kai of Time, I think it's the regulator. Anyway, it's the 1-drop. Yeah, I'm not gonna go trying to find that card. It's the 1-drop. You play her. She's a black card player. Draw a card. So you have a 1-drop blocker that replaces itself by you drawing a card. So at least you have some hand advantage, and you know, you have a blocker. Blockers with barrier are the ones you want the most, because you know, you spend time and energy putting these blockers into play, and then your opponent gets rid of them. That's why I like, if I have a blocker that doesn't have barrier, I want it to be for free. I want to play for free, or for very little energy. That way it doesn't feel like, because I don't want to tap out. I don't want to tap out thinking I have a defense. I have a way of protecting myself, and then it turns out I don't have a way of protecting myself because my opponent will get rid of it by a card effect. So that's why you want blockers with barrier, obviously. So if you find blockers with barriers, those are the good ones. Blockers with barriers and revenge would be super awesome. That's just that next level right there. If you can find blockers with barrier and revenge, so that's always good. But just in general, a blocker with barrier is more than enough, because at least it's a reliable negate. Now it's not perfect. Somebody could have an effect that takes away your barrier, that bypasses your barrier, and or maybe have a battle card that can attack attack position leaders. Attack position battle cards, and attack your blocker on purpose just to get it out of the way, so that way their real important attack can go through. So there's that. But you know, the main thing is your opponent has to play specific cards, specific strategy to bypass. So you want to make it harder on your opponent. So blockers with barrier are the types of blockers you want. You also want blockers that you can play for free. Blockers you can play from your hand on your opponent's turn is always good. Because there are a couple of them that they made where you could play them from your hand on your opponent's turn. There is a blocker with Revenge. It's a black card, it's a Toa. So you warp 2 cards, pay the 2 energy to cast her, you know, to play her on your opponent's turn, and she's a blocker. She's like counterplay, so she's a blocker with Revenge. So you can surprise somebody and be like, oh, you tapped out, I play this, and now I have a blocker with Revenge. So if you attack, I will block and I will revenge you. So that's a pretty cool card. I like that. Because, you know, surprise aspect is the fact that it's a way to bypass the possibility of your opponent trying to get away, trying to get rid of your blocker with Revenge, because they don't want you to have it. You want to put them in a position where it's like, well, if you attack, I will block, and they probably won't attack, which is good for you, because that gives you another turn to fight back. So, as I said, but I'll repeat it in case I actually didn't say it, is always make it seem like you have negates. So I did say, that's how I started off the video. Make it seem like you always have negates. The way I do it is that I say, when my opponent attacks, I'm like, I won't negate, I won't block. I mean, oh yeah, I won't negate. It's sometimes I'll say no negate, because I want the person to think that I don't have a negate, even though I do. So it's just that I play around with it, with those two terms, no negate and I don't negate. But I don't negate a lot because I want my opponents to always think and always feel like I have negates. I mean, they should always think that anyway. They should always think I have negates. That's what I do when I play against my opponents. Is I always assume they have negates. I always assume they have 10k. You know, you always go for the extreme. You know, it's the worst case scenario. You know, hope for the best, plan for the worst, right? So I always assume my opponent has a full hand of 10k super combos, right? So the fact that those 10k super combos could potentially become, you know, an extra 10k on top of it, or maybe another super combo, right? So if they have 5 cards in the hands and they're all super combos, they're all going to draw. So that's 5k right, that's 50k right there of power in their hand, plus a potential extra 50k. So that's 10k. No, I'm saying 50. That's 100 k worth of power right there. 100k, right? 100k worth of power in their potential hand. That's how I exaggerate what my opponent could do. So then I have to take to account, like, well, is this attack going to be so important for them to try to use that much combo power? Now, obviously, somebody's not going to waste their whole hand on one attack. It's just that I exaggerate how much they could combo. Then I take to account that maybe they have negates. Depending on how much energy, I assume how many negates they have based off of their energy. So if they have 2 energies, I assume 2 negates. If they have 5 energy, 5 negates. You get the idea. So if they have 1 energy, 1 negate, and then the rest of the cards in the hands are 10k super combo. That's the way I think. And it has been working for me. So if you want to try that and test it out, I recommend, you know, obviously testing that idea, and, you know, make it part of your strategy for when you're playing, because you'll see the results of you assuming your opponent has a really, really strong hand to defend, and in reality they don't. On average. I mean, because remember, you're picturing a perfect hand, perfect defensive hand. The likelihood of their hand being perfect is very slim. So you're imagining their hand is perfect, especially for the situation, perfect to defend against you, to block your attacks, right? Even if you have a card in your hand, like an overrun with 20k double strike, it's like I know I have this card in my hand, but my opponent doesn't know I have it in his hand. But I have to assume that he can stop this, he can negate this attack. You know what I mean? That he's planning for this. He already probably has enough cards in his hand to stop all the attacks I already have in play. My leader, my battle cards in play, but I have this extra attack in my hand. Once I overwhelm it, after I do all those other attacks, and now I'm going to come in with a surprise attack, he might actually still be able to negate because of Sparking 5, or because he has he has one super combo at least that he could use to save himself, and that one super combo can probably become another super combo, you know, stuff like that. So it's like, these are the thoughts I have when I, you know, when I battle. Is that I think that my opponent's going to have these exact cards when I make my plays. So then I do certain numbers. This is more about defending than attacking, but I'll state the 30K idea. You know, 30K. Typically, I do 20 to 25K double strike, or 30K double strike is my sweet number. I like 30K. 40K sounds great, but it does sound like I'm putting in too much into that attack. Unless I have a 30K attacker and then I'm doing Champa, so it's 40K double strike, then that's what I really want, is 40K double strike. But if I'm actually comboing, on average, if I'm comboing, I'm more likely doing a 10K attacker, then do the Champa, so that's 20K double strike, and then I might throw in a 5K to make it 25, because I'd rather have that extra 5K, because by adding that extra 5K, my opponent's going to have to add an extra 10K to block. So you always got to remember that every 5K you add into an attack, your opponent has to add at least 10K in order to block, and that's because they're defending. So you want to take into account how much your opponent could defend, and you want to put every 5K into that. It is some weird math that they put that you can't literally just match your opponent, where if I attack with a 10K battle card and then put in 10K into that attack, so it's a 20K, and then my opponent, let's say their Leader's Awakened, so they're 15K, all they need is 5K to be 20, so that way 20 should be equal, right? 20-20, we're equal power, nothing should happen, like in most other card games. But in this game, it doesn't matter. If you're 20 power, you know, quote-unquote defensive power, well, I'm 20 attack power. My 20 beats your 20, apparently, right? Your 20K, so it's like, okay. So in order to defend, you got to have a little bit more. So that's the way they do it in this game, where you have to have a little bit more. So you have to have at least 5K more than your opponent in order to survive. So remember, every 5K you add into an attack, that's an extra 10K your opponent is going to have to put. So that's why I like to do 25. When my opponent's awakened, I like to do 25K power, because they're going to have to use 20K to block. So if I'm 25K double strike, they have to use 2 10Ks at least, or 4 5Ks in order to block my attack. No, I said they're awakened, right? So if they're awakened, they need 30, they need 15, they need 15. What I'm saying, they need 15. They need a 10K and a 5K, so they can become 30, become 25. They need to be at least 30. But if they are 10K, I'm 10K, and I made myself 20K with one Champa, then they need to be, if they're 10K, then they're going to need 2 10Ks to become 30. No, I'm saying it wrong. If I'm 20, they're 10, they need 15. So they always need at least 15. That's what I'm saying, at least 15. But always assume that every time you add 5K to something, that's essentially an extra 5K they might have to play. Because if you're 25 attacking a 10K, that's what it was. It was 25 against a 10K, not 25 against a 15K. 25 against a 10K. Then in order for them to be 30, they need 2 10Ks. That's what I said it wrong earlier. If they're 15K, then obviously you don't want to do 25K to a 15K. You want to do at least 30K to a 15K, because then they need 2 10Ks. They always gotta remember that. They always need 2 10Ks. And in order for them to be in order for them to overcome, in order for them to be 35 to stop your 30. So I'd rather be 30K, and then they have to, when they're awakened, they have to go up to 35K to block. So always want to force them to spend that extra 5K or 10K to defend. And that'll be the end of the video.